When did everything start?
I was 13 years old, and my father and I would go to the racetrack together, and that was my first introduction to gambling. For me, it was innocent. I was spending the day with my dad. I was in Gamblers Anonymous already by the time I was 16, and then I continued to gamble for almost 20 years after.
Tell me about the consequences.
I was arrested 9 times. I had DWIs. I had overdrawn checking accounts, and I was on probation. I owed a lot of people money.
Rob Sakowitz says he's owed hundreds of thousands of dollars and tells a harrowing tale of his compulsive gambling, the lies it fostered, and financial devastation to him and his family, and how it nearly ended his life.
It's like literally, if you relate it to like a heroin addict, it's like giving them a needle to walk around with all day long. More gamblers commit suicide than drug addicts and alcoholics combined. And that's because they're, in their brain, the only way out of their problem, because they owe so much money, is continuing to gamble.
Sakowitz credits his wife, Sandra, for getting him on the path that led to his recovery.
The lies were just continuous and out of control. So at that point, I had given him an ultimatum of going to inpatient treatment or I would have to leave.
And that's what he did. For a dozen years, Sakowitz says he's been free of drinking, drugs, and gambling. In 2022, he and his wife opened their own recovery clinic called Right Choice Recovery in Dayton, New Jersey, and says they have successfully treated hundreds so far, adding only about 5% have dropped out or relapsed.
What prompted you to get help? How did you know this is time?
Oh, well, I mean, life became rock bottom. I couldn't even go through the day in a normal functionality without constantly being in some sort of action. I stole from the company, I did some rough things. I was put on probation for a period of time, kind of like that hard reality check that I can never do this again.
What was happening in your life?
Things were unmanageable. Time just disappeared. I've lost a month's salary at a red stoplight.
So meaning you're gambling on your phone and you
Yes.
lose a month's salary.
I would wake up when bank transfers in the middle of the night when I know would clear. It was controlling a lot of my thoughts, a lot of my time. It was hurting me, and then ultimately it hurts others.
Both Nick Gillio and Scott Desch say the programs at Right Choice Recovery have been key in helping them face and overcome their issues. Alan Gabriel, who's an adolescent therapist here, says he's seen an alarming increase in young people with gambling issues.
In the past, we didn't think of it as a young person's issue.
You can't look at a sports program without seeing gambling being promoted. And also, gambling is promoted on the phone like 24/7. You now have bookies who are actively promoting gambling to teenagers.
And you were giving me specific cases of how bad it can get.
One client who incurred over $100,000 worth of gambling debt before he even reached 15. Addiction is no respecter of age, any demographic, right? And even though this was a young kid, he was doing essentially a lot of the things that we see adults who struggle from compulsive gambling go through. Manipulating, lying, conning people out of money so that they can feed the habit. I have to continue gambling to try to get out the debt. For a kid, when they see that it's not possible, their mindset is, I don't want to live anymore, because there is no way out of it.
What would you say to parents who are concerned that this is something that might be affecting their child?
One of the requirements of our program is that we engage in family therapy. One of the first things that I always do is encourage parents to set aside what I call talk time every week with your child. And that is just you spending an hour or two with your child in a place away from home where you guys have a conversation and there's absolutely no judgment. It's just creating a safe space for them to be able to talk and really allow you to kind of understand the world as they see it.
Gabriel has also seen some success with teens and the new podcast therapy program.
What is podcast therapy?
Because they have a mic in front of them, they don't feel like it's typical therapy. They feel like they're engaged in a show. It gives them a boost in terms of their self-esteem because now they feel like their voice is actually important and they feel like their voice is helping somebody.
What would you say to someone who's watching now and knows they have a gambling issue?
Please call us. call me. Our phone number is 732-908-2111. You're not alone. You have to have that voice inside you. I need help. Ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength.
According to the New York Gaming Commission, nearly $58 billion in bets have been placed in the 3 years since New York legalized mobile sports wagering. They add that bankruptcies have sharply increased, as well as incidents involving domestic violence. There has also been more than a 25% increase in calls to the Gambling Hope Line. We say it over and over again in our reporting on any mental health issue. Please reach out for help.